about pregnancy, and I don't think the consequences are as stressed in the African American community.
So how would you say that as a community we could go about addressing that as an issue?
Well, I think that would have to be something to come from an older generation. I don't think it can be like anything internal. I don't think that our youth can tell our youth that they need to change. I'd say it has to be someone that has the experience and can tell them that the consequences of, you know, having kids at a young age isn't anything that's going to benefit you.
And if you could you name any pregnancy agencies that are aimed to help pregnant women, teens, families?
No, because they don't tell us about them.
Because they don't tell them about you?
Well, I mean, they're not as, you know, publicly known. Like, they're not presented in a way that most people have access to them until after the fact, or, yeah.
So you
have to basically go and seek them. They're not just out there for you to know about. So
you would say that's pretty common amongst women your age?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is completely hypothetical, but if you were to wake up tomorrow and find out that you were pregnant, like, how would you go about dealing with that?
Well, seeing as how I'm only 18, I would probably feel like it was important to discuss it with my mother, just because she's older, she's more knowledgeable about these things. But I don't know, I'd seek some information because I wouldn't know how to deal with it just on a personal level. So yeah, I'd have to go get some advice probably. Alternate locations.
Pregnancy is an issue that's pretty prevalent in the African American community. What do you think could be done to lessen it?
I think it might have to start with like the home front and like parents' interactions with their kids, because in today's society you have to understand that kids are gonna have sex. Like each year the age of kids having sex for the first time gets younger and younger. So, you know, talking to them about that, and, you know, the youthfulness of protection and whatnot, and then like talk about that, but, you know, also talk about, you know, abstinence and whatnot and the benefits of that, but at least, you know, instilling them, okay, if you're gonna do it, at least, you know, do it right. Because I mean, I've had a couple friends in high school before we graduated, like girls who like had kids, my friends, like dudes who had kids by other girls, and like it was like a one-time fling kind of thing. One girl, senior year, she was a cheerleader, all this other stuff, and like she was like doing flips and all this other stuff, and like come to find out she was pregnant. And so she had her daughter before we graduated high school, our senior year, and now she, you know, she's back home taking care of her kids, trying to go to community college and whatnot. So it's life changing, life altering. So I think like people like should instill in the kids, like talk to them about that, like talk to them about what they be giving up if they do, like, you know, not heed their warning, like. Because you're going to get pregnant, you're going to have a kid, you're basically going to have to give up your entire life until that kid's able to support themselves, which is pretty much until that kid turns 18.
So would you say that promiscuity is an issue that needs to be addressed?
Yeah. I mean, in both genders, like there's dudes that are really promiscuous and there's girls that are really promiscuous. There are girls who are forced into promiscuity by the dudes that they're with. And sometimes I think that parents should, like, you know, talk to them about that, because like it all falls back to, like, you know, if you're gonna do what you do, at least do it safely and wisely. But I mean, I don't necessarily agree like at a young age you should have sex or do like other things along those lines. But I mean, it's gonna happen. There's no way to avoid it. So.
And do you think that once these teenage girls are pregnant, that they have that they have the knowledge of resources that are available to them, or do you think that there's a lack of resources to try to help them through this pregnancy, like, you know?
From my understanding, from what I've seen, it's like most girls, whenever they get pregnant, like because like the friend of mine who got pregnant in high school, they're told 3 things from the bat. You can keep it, you can put it up for adoption, or you can get an abortion. But they never really I've never really heard of people outlining, okay, well, if you do decide to keep it, there's this institution, governmental institution that will help you. There's this, there's that, there's this. You can still have your kid and still, live a normal life. Like I said, once girls have kids, it's pretty much they're told your life is over.
Yeah. Do you think that pregnancy in the African American community is a problem, especially amongst our youth?
Yes, because there are a lot of pregnant girls I see at the mall, that are underage, or below 18 even. Yeah.
Would you say that it's a uniquely African American thing, or is just our youth culture in general?
I think it's just our youth culture in general. I see different types and genders, not genders, different cultures. I see Hispanic girls, I see Black American girls, Chinese girls, pretty much with their strollers at the mall, Yeah.
And do you know of any pregnancy agencies? Just name any pregnancy agencies that are aimed to help people who are underage and pregnant.
I don't know.
You don't know any? See, so would you say that a lack of resources to pregnant women is a problem as well?
No, because normally I hear about, on Oprah and other places, I hear about the resources that they have and the contact agencies that they could contact to get help if they needed any help. But I think that they're okay with that. Maybe it's just because I'm not one of the pregnant teens that I don't know about them.
But based off the fact that you couldn't name a pregnancy agent, would you say that's pretty common amongst girls your age?
Yeah, because I think no one knows when they're in the situation of being pregnant or about to have a baby. No one really knows what to do. They're shocked, and unless they planned it, they're shocked and kind of nervous, and they don't know where to go after that.
Well, certainly within our society, there are distorted views of what it means to be masculine, what it means to be male. I think personally, and this is just anecdotal, but I went and spoke to an African American group on campus here lately, and it seemed to me, and it has seemed to me since election night 2008, and I was talking with one of the African American students about this, it seems to me that Black people feel a little prouder, a little more like, I deserve to be here. I deserve to be here as much as you do. And that feels like a shift to me. I worry, we have views that African American males are good at sports, and that's kind of what they do. They're good at sports, and they like to get women pregnant and then move on, and all these stereotypes that apply.
And so if you think about what people look like in music videos and athletes, and sort of who are Black people that get FaceTime in our culture,